Hi all, welcome to challenge 2 in the 90-day challenge to write your book in 90 days and publish your book in 90 days. Now, challenge 2 is all about construct. So first thing I'd like to say is if you haven't completed challenge 1, press stop now. Do not continue with this until you do challenge 1. The reason is your intentions and benchmarks are the basis for this next challenge. You haven't already completed challenge 1, you don't have your intentions and benchmarks, you're going to flap about doing challenge 2. And if you flap about doing challenge 2, you're going to have a weak structure, which means that when you come to writing the book, you're going to do overwhelm. Simple as that. You won't have the solid foundation and structure that you're looking for, and you'll be flapping around and you'll do overwhelm. So this is the way you avoid overwhelm, by having a really strong structure. And the way you have a strong structure is by being very clear about your intentions and benchmarks. So do that first. Now, assuming you've done that now and you've come back and you're good to go, and we're going to go straight into challenge 2, which is construction. Part 1 of challenge 2 is building the bridge. So we now know what we want to achieve. We know our intentions and we've set our benchmarks. Now there's a gap between what we want to be and where we are now. So we're going to bridge that gap. This week we're outlining the complete structure of our book. And your challenge this week is to build the bridge by completing the non-fiction beat sheet, which is amazing. So step 1 of this challenge is to review your intentions and benchmarks. And we'll be doing this every week. We'll be doing this every challenge, I should say. Ensure that your benchmarks and intentions are aligned with your message, and ensure that every step you take forward from here comes back and aligns with your intentions, benchmarks, and message. That is the focus. If you do that, this process is just going to roll out for you. Okay? If you don't have strength in your intentions and benchmarks, this is where you'll do overwhelm. So step 2 is to get this thing set up. So fill out the beat sheet Excel spreadsheet. This is the exciting part. This is where you'll start to see your book. You'll start to see the potential. You'll start to see what this can be for you. Okay? So start off by entering your working title. Now this isn't the final title, it's your working title. It may end up being your final title, or your title may change several times over the next couple of months and weeks. So enter your working title, enter your message or logline as well. So your message, it's the same as your logline. The logline is a fictional term. It's used in movie industry as well, being that it's a central theme. So it is your message. So in that part, put your message, and also put in your target word count. How many words do you want to do? And again, this is flexible. You may actually do a lot more, you may do a lot less. But this right now is to give you it's to give you a structure to move forward. You'll know in the next week or two if you need to adjust that, and we'll be constantly coming back and reevaluating. So step 3 is to create your book skeleton. Enter your beat sheet structure into a framework, so into a formatted sheet, formatted book style. Okay, so I'm actually going to take you out of this page in a moment, and I'm going to take you over to have a look at trim sizes. Okay, now what I mean by trim sizes is in regard to the size of your book. So it's the height and the width. And what I would recommend is that you take a moment and grab a book from your shelf and have a look at which books are the size that you would like your book to be. So just to give you some ideas, here is, you should be able to see my page now. These are some industry standard trim sizes. Now, what do we mean by industry standard? Well, these are the ones that you'll find in the libraries and the bookstores. These are your typical book sizes, okay? For black and white books, you can see there's quite a few different sizes. And I want to go up here just a little bit. Books with cream page must be one of these particular sizes. So if you look at books, some will be a cream colored page, some will be a white page. You can choose which. However, your pages will need to be, depending on the page color, you may need to adjust the size that you do want to have. These are the most popular ones here: 5x8, 525 by 8, 5.5 by 8.5, and 6 by 9 are by far the most common industry standard ones, but there is quite a few other ones that you can choose as well. Now, there's also some non-industry standard sizes. I would advise against using these, as these will put your cost up, okay? But if you want to, if it fits with your book, rock on, go for it. Now, if you're doing a color book, there's less industry standard sizes. Again, there is other sizes you can choose, but it will put your costs up. And having a color book will obviously put your costs up as well. So all things to consider. So what you need to do is, at this point, is go and measure up a book and work out what size you want. Now, the books that we produced that we produced in the program previously have been mostly 5x8. We've had some 6x9. We've had some 5.25. No, actually, sorry, it was this one, 5.06 by 7.81. But primarily, it's been 5.8. Especially because being a 90-day program, we tend to have a smaller word count, and having a smaller book means that your word count equates to a larger page count, which is, kind of a good thing. So work out the size that you want, and then go into the files and grab the trim size. What I mean by that is I'll be uploading pre-formatted trim sizes for these most common ones. Okay, so basically I'm going to upload them for these ones here, all of the most common ones that you can use white and cream pages for. If you want a different one, let me know and I'll upload that for you as well. And later on down the track, when we come into showing you a bit more about CreateSpace, I'll show you where you get them yourself. Okay, so you don't have to rely on me. This time around, though, because we haven't gone into CreateSpace in great deal, it's just easier. I figure I'll upload them. You can grab them rock for. Now, the files that you'll upload, the trim sizes that I will have available for you on the page, and this will be on the group page, they will be set formatting, which means don't change them, because they're already formatted for when your files are done and you re-upload them to the system to be available on Amazon. Don't change the formatting. Change the words in it only, okay? So grab a book, measure up your trim size, and go from there. So let's go back to the challenge workbook. Here we go. So what you'll do is you'll take the structure and you'll start putting in just point form into the beat sheet and working out where everything needs to go. Sorry, into the trim size. Step 4 is to share and get feedback. So share your book skeleton with the group and seek feedback from at least one of the following: your critical friend or a representative of your avatar or your reader. Yeah. So again, talk to your readers and talk to your avatar about what they're looking for, and see if the structure works for them as well. Okay. So it's going to take your beat sheet structure and put it into the trim size format so you can actually see how your book's laid out. And your book starts taking a bit of form at that point. Then once you've done that, you can move on to part 2. Now, part 2 is about collecting the content. So if you're reading this, congratulations, you've completed part 1 of the second challenge in the 90-day challenge. Again, if you want to stop now, great. Stop now, complete part 1, and then come back and do this. Or continue on, but make sure you complete part 1 before you jump ahead to part 2. Now, the second part of challenge 2 is to do the research. So this week we're collecting our quotes, information, websites, interviews, stories, metaphors, etc. And this is what you're going to do. Step 1 is to build a research plan, and I'll show you an example of that in a moment. Refer to your benchmarks for research if you included this. So if in your benchmarks you put anything around inclusions or research, this is where you'll start utilizing that information. If you didn't, that's fine. Use the research plan template as a guideline to plan your research. And I'll show you some examples in a moment. Use the research plan template to plan your inclusions, and use as many pages as you need. Seek feedback and advice from your Right Now community. So let me just jump down and I'll show you a completed research plan. This is an example of a completed, this is partial. This is 2 parts of a research plan. So for example, just say the focus, just say I was doing something on the brain, neurology, whatever it may be. And in my research plan, I know that I want to do some research on comparison of the left and right brain. So left and right brain comparison. Awesome. How do I want to bring that across? What are some of the things that I might want to research to include in my book? I'm thinking maybe I'll have an image, an exercise, and a quote. Yep, think that'll work. Then I'm going to put down here, so what research will I be required to do? And remember, inductive research thinking here, not just deductive, so think outside the box. So I've written down for this one, I might find an image which highlights the functions of left versus right. I might find or create an exercise that tells you which you favor. That'll be really cool because that'll get the reader involved. And maybe I'll have some kind of quote somewhere. So how am I going to find this information? This is the source. I reckon I could search the web, maybe scholarly articles, and I've got here Jasmine. So this was actually a true example I put down. Jasmine is someone I know who has done psychology and neurology. So she could be a great one to ask. So again, that's thinking inductively about not just where I can find the information, but who might already have the information. And then location is, where is this information going to go in my book? So for this part, I was thinking chapter 2, maybe I'd put the quote at the start, then I'd put the exercise at the end. So that's my research plan. So I'm going to go away, I'm going to research left brain, right brain companion. Specifically, I'm going to look for an image, an exercise, and a quote. I know the quote will go at the start of chapter 2. The exercise will go at the end. The image will go in the middle. I'm going to find them by looking on the web, looking at scholarly articles, and I'm going to ask Jasmine about it because I reckon she could give me a few ideas. Okay, and I know what research I need to do and what information I want to present in the research required. So the next box is more of an overview to give you an idea of what should be in each of these areas. And again, inductive thinking, so this is just a guideline. So your focus would be the ideas of what you want to include. The parts could be an image, exercise, quotes, statistics, ideas, concept, metaphor, table, blah, 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 blah. Research required would be along the lines of finding this, adjusting this, searching for that, ask this person about this, maybe get this or that, speak to this type of person, speak to a doctor, speak to a medical person, whatever. Inquire about this. Sources could be web, scholarly articles, magazines, persons, professions, newspapers, communities, schools, families, etc. This is just giving you something to start with. And then location. So the location where you're going to place that information, that research, could be based on a particular chapter. And I recommend that you know where it's going to go. So you know what chapter it's going to be. You might have it in a particular subject based on your beat sheet. Maybe a particular topic under your beat sheet. It may be at the start of the chapter, the end of the chapter. It might be after the chapter, before the chapter. It might be after a quote, before a quote. It may be with an exercise, with this, with that. So this research plan allows you to write down, before you even start doing the work, write down what research you need to make sure everything's covered. And I would think about this, because this is why it's very important to do the beat sheet first. I'd think about this based on the beat sheet. So once the beat sheet's done, I would look at, right, so chapter 1, what do I need in there? Well, this chapter is about this, the focus. In this chapter, I would like to have the parts, an exercise and a quote. Awesome. So that's the start. And location, where's it going to be located? Well, I think I'll put the quote at the start, exercise at the end. Awesome. What is the research I'm going to need to do? This is where you'll need to think about it a bit. I need to find a quote, and this is simplifying it, obviously. If I'm saying that there's going to be a quote and an exercise, I need to find a quote, I need to create an exercise or find an exercise. And then build on that. Quote about what? Exercise about what? Build on it and narrow it down as much as possible before you actually look for it. Then think about where you can look for it. Once you've got your complete research plan for every part of your beat sheet, then and only then should you sit down and do the research. And I recommend that you do this part by hand, away from a computer where you can't get distracted. Okay? And then once you've got it all, then you jump on, you do the research. And you'll find that in that way, you'll be able to do all of your research very quickly because you'll just go straight to the source that you need. You'll get the information and you'll move on to the next one. Fantastic. So let's go back up. After you build your research plan, you are going to create a personal journal, research journal. Your research journal can be electronic or manual. Again, manual is a good idea to avoid distraction, but at this point, if you want to copy and paste links, then obviously electronic's going to work better for you. And this is where you're going to collect references. Okay, so again, I've got an example which I'll show you in a moment. And you'll also have a print copy that'll be available in your uploads as well. So again, seek feedback and advice from your Right Now community. So let's have a look at the research journal. So this is your research journal, and it's really, 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 really cool because what you're going to do is actually collect all the information that you need. So when it comes to putting your references in, you'll have all the information at hand anytime. So this is going to be based on what you've done in your research plan. Okay, so let's start with the first part. So let's start with up here in the research plan. You had at chapter 2 an image in chapter 2. Okay, so we're going to work with that one. So location, chapter 2, we're putting at the start. The part, what type is it? It's an image. Okay, so this is where I found the image that I want to use. Okay, that's the reference source. That's where the actual image is. So that is just simply, once you're finding it, copying the URL. Action ready. That just means I'm ready to put this straight in as a reference. If I still needed to do research, I might put in there more needed, or I might put a note in there for myself to let myself know what's next. Author. So for this particular reference, the author was Undell Group. So when you're in this one, see. So when you're in this one, it's the Undell Group, and I'll show you an example in just a moment. The date that you viewed will be the date that you actually looked at this, okay? So it'll have the date it was created and the viewed date. In-text referencing. So it'll have an example, and what you want to do is actually put brackets and have the author and the year, not viewed, the year it was created. So author and the year it was created. That's going to be your in-text referencing, which means that now when you actually do the work, you can just copy and paste that straight into your Word file. Now, reference test style. There's a really cool link that I'm going to share with you guys, and let me just bring that up for you. Okay, let me share this page. Awesome. So this page here, I'll put this this link in there for you. This is fantastic. So these are all the academic referencing styles. These are all the styles. Choose the style that you want. I recommend Harvard. And what you'll do, if we go back to our worksheet for a moment. So in your worksheet, if what we want to do is create a reference, all right? Now this one is an image that I've gotten offline, or online, I should say. So let's go back to the referencing tool. So Harvard. So this one's an image. So I actually found it online. And it was an image from a website. And this site is fantastic, guys. This site is just a lifesaver because what it's going to do is give you in-text referencing and a reference. So remember that these details don't relate to anything. They're just an example. So what I would do is I would take this part here, or both if you want, whichever part works for you. Copy it. Go back to your, and this is a PDF, so it's not going to work, so just follow on. Go back to your workbook. In here, paste it. So this will be the same, pretty much the same as what I just copied. Okay. And then from that, you can use the information that you've collected in your research collection reference template to create the full reference. So if you look here, the author, Undell Group, is there. The year, 2015. The title of the image, which is, and this is formatted. So see how that's in italics? That means the title of the image has to be in italics. The title of this image is Brain 3. Brain 3. The what is it? Description of the item, so it's an image. The name of the organizational website, it's Undell Group. Date viewed, right here, I've already put it in, viewed 22nd and 7th, 17, viewed that date. And then the URL, which is the reference source. And that's how you put your references together. Now, once I finish the book, all I have to do is copy and paste that straight into the end, and I've got my reference list. Okay? So this is what you're going to do as part of part 2 in challenge 2. You're going to build your research plan, and you're going to create that research journal. The next thing you're going to do is calm down. This is the most time-consuming and thought-inducing part of the process. So take a breath and remind yourself of your intentions. Now, the next section that we go into is red carpet. It's around marketing. And it's purposely made a little bit lighter so that this week, this section on construct can roll over into it, okay? Because this is a lot of work in this one, but it's so worth it, and I trust that you see that. If you put in the work now, it's going to make the next sections, when we get into action and you actually start writing the book, it's going to make it so much more manageable for you, okay? And again, this is how you avoid overwhelm. So those are the two things that you're going to do. Now, I've got here for you, these will be uploaded. This is your research collection reference template, and this is your research plan. Okay, these will be uploaded for you so that you can use them. If you're unsure how to use them, come back and watch this video again and again and again and again. Okay, and I'll pop in the link for you to the Harvard referencing system. Let me just bring that back up for you. This academic referencing system, so that you can use that. And let me just show you that again really quickly, because it's so easy to use that we went through it very quickly. So let me show you again. So we've chosen Harvard. Just say we want to reference a newspaper article. We choose newspaper article. And then, is it an article from a database? Is it from a print newspaper with authors or no authors? Is it an article from the internet? Let's say it's an article from a print newspaper and there's no authors. That's how you do your referencing. So not required as all details are provided in text. So with this particular type of referencing, all you're doing is an in-text referencing. So it tells you all the information that you need, gives you all these notes as well, gives you examples. It's fantastic. So definitely get on board with that, yeah? So let's go back to the worksheet, workbook. There we go. Excellent. So at the end of this challenge, you will have your structure outline and your research journal. Okay, so you'll have your research journal, and you'll also be hopefully doing this research collecting reference template, and you'll have a whole stack of those as well. So rock forth. This is the fun part. This is where you kind of get your teeth into it. Enjoy, and I'll see you on the other side. Bye.